Tackle today, Justice Brothers from Tackle Trading, bringing you all the charts, the news, the analysis, so you can be informed in just a few minutes on your trading decisions. Earnings season getting hot and heavy. Kind of little preview of some of the big stuff coming up. Markets taking it in, some interesting economic data. But at the end of the day, after it all, Matt, we're still in a very narrow trading range on the S&P ahead of even bigger data coming up in the coming days.
Well, that kind of makes some sense when you're talking about the big data coming out over the next three trading sessions. A little bit of consolidation makes some sense in the market without it really kind of picking a direction. And that's really where we sit as we go into a really important stretch in the market over the next 3 to 4 trading sessions. You got Google later on tonight. You got Eli Lilly tomorrow. Those are two massively important stocks. And those aren't the biggest stocks this week that are reporting earnings. And so you just got what we have described as a murderer's row of important economic and earnings data coming out to the market. But as for today, we're looking at a little bit of consolidation still within the range from a technical perspective, very similar to the overall consolidation we went through at the end, beginning of October, where you saw the end of September, just consolidation at the top end of a price movement. You saw it dip underneath the 9 EMA, battle against the 20 SMA, and then you broke out. Have a fairly clean resistance level. When you're looking at the market right now, you got a little bit of that same type of feel. Consolidation gave up the 9 EMA, now battling against the 20 SMA. And the only real question at this point is, do we get a catalyst to break out of the market, or do we get a catalyst that sees a violation of support and we start talking about a little bit of a pullback in the market? And so you're kind of on pins and needles going into Google and Eli Lilly, but then again, then you got Apple and Microsoft and Meta and other big dogs out there as well. And so this market is really about where the market is by the end of the week. Are we talking about a breakout? Are we talking about are we talking about something to the downside? So really important data coming up. As of right now, hasn't really seen a technical change on the SPY itself. The Nasdaq itself just really doing its best to clean up that potential breakout of 500. Not a lot of concern here on the Nasdaq. Got a hammer candle coming off that 9 EMA test here today. That's a good look going into a potential breakout as well. And obviously, Google tonight, Apple, Microsoft, Meta coming out. Obviously, all of those are going to play a sizable role on whether or not the Nasdaq can officially break out. IWM just kind of hovering against that bullish retracement that confirmed yesterday. A little bit of a snapback here today as well. And so, yeah, when you look at the kind of the indexes across the board, 2 days into the week so far, really haven't seen any sizable changes, but wasn't expecting to see sizable changes from a technical perspective the 2 days coming into this week. It's really Tuesday night, Wednesday, all the way till Friday morning. That's the important data that's coming out this week. So not a lot of changes technically here, but we do expect technical changes as we navigate this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the economic data that will be coming out, joining all the earnings, it's going to be nonstop every day this week. Now, one of the stories in the market in the last week or so have been rising yields, rising dollar. Even this morning, before the JOLTS report was issued this morning, yields were pushing up, pushing up. JOLTS provided a little bit of reprieve on the pressure on the dollar and the yields coming in at the lowest number since early in 2021. Still above pre-pandemic highs numbers. So that provided a little bit of relief. Consumer confidence, on the other end, came in just smoking red hot. Just smoking red hot. Significant beat on expectations. So a little bit of preview on earnings today, a little preview on economic data as we head into GDP tomorrow and ADP tomorrow, and then accumulating with the monthly unemployment report on Friday. Any takes on the economic data this morning, Matt?
No, one offset the other. I mean, you had a positive economic data coming out on confidence. You got a negative economic data coming out on jolts, kind of washed each other out. I will say this on the consumer confidence side of the equation, sizable jump, sizable beat against expectation, and something I was not personally expecting coming into September, right before, October, right before an election.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, earnings, there were a lot to report on. Who you going to highlight today?
Who we're going to highlight today is we're going to be looking at McDonald's. We're going to be looking at a little bit of Waste Management. Then we're going to be looking at Cadence Design Systems. McDonald's reported Q3 earnings, and all these are Q3 earnings updates. McDonald's came in with a 1% beat. Revenue was up 2.7% year over year. And when you're looking at that from a technical perspective, we're talking about a very slight beat and a very slight beat when it comes to both the EPS and the revenue. And you're looking at a stock that really didn't do much here today. Tried to test up, tested down a little bit, but it makes some sense given the fact that not sizable beats, not sizable misses, and still McDonald's trading a little bit on that E. coli situation that happened last week. Waste Management came out today. They came out with a 5% beat against EPS. Revenue was up 8% year over year, and they reaffirmed forward-looking guidance. We'll take a look at their chart here in just 1 second. And then on Cadence Design Systems was the only AI name to be reported here today. They came out with a beat against EPS, pretty good beat against EPS, 20-cent beat. They also came in above the expectation on revenue, and they grew that 19% year over year. They did not raise guidance, but what they did do is what I call trickeration. They basically raised the midpoint of the range of guidance, but the overall range was fairly identical. So a little bit of trickeration on Cadence Systems, like we were talking about on McDonald's. Tried to fight up, came back down, nothing really to see here, forming a little bit of a king's bed type situation, consolidation. You typically like to see that after a sizable move to the downside, whether it's from a gap down situation or whether you're just talking about a deeper retracement. You want to see that type of consolidation. McDonald's is certainly providing it. Obviously has the concerning E. coli story that is coming out of the market a little bit. Not a lot of blame is being put on McDonald's as we're a few days into that story. When you're looking at Waste Management here today, gapping out and running away from the gap. This is what we would call a breakaway gap type situation when you have a neutral trend, and I would describe this overall as a neutral trend, and then you break out of the resistance level of that neutral trend and you run away from the gap. That's called a breakaway gap. Oftentimes you see the beginning point of a new trend. It's not guaranteed. You certainly want to see a secondary pattern here, but at the end of the day, a pretty good little technical setup happening on Waste Management. And then on Cadence, CDNS here, Cadence just simply came out with a pretty good report here, and coming from the low point on the chart, sitting at support, never going to hurt a stock's performance. When you're sitting at support, expectations are down, and you come out, you beat those expectations, you're going to get a sizable lift off. Now you're coming into a mid-tier situation, and you definitely would like to see development right around that 285 level. And that's what we had for stocks in the news here today.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to predict, Matt, that the three stocks you report on tomorrow are going to be AMD, Google, and Eli Lilly. All three,
There,
all three have earnings before the bell tomorrow.
there's a lot of days, Mark, that I'm like debating with three stocks I'm
Yeah,
in, because in
it's
that,
going to take a hell of a news story to beat
well,
those three tomorrow.
in the tackle today, we put a lot more stories. So if you want the complete layout, come read the tackle today and sign up for the tackle today email that we send out to everybody that is a subscriber to the tackle today. And there's usually 7-8 stock stories there, but tomorrow the top three is going to be pretty easy.
Yeah, give me that dollar chart, Matt. One of the things that had my eye before the JOLTS report this morning was the dollar was climbing, threatening to break out of that high base. Yields were climbing, threatening to break out of their high base. A little bit of reprieve back into the range. What's your look here technically, Matt?
I don't think the market would hate a little bit of bad news as good news scenarios when it comes to the dollar right now. And that's the one time when you start getting into good news is bad news, and bad news is good news, is when you're having a dollar and a yield conversation.
Yep.
And that's what we're having. And so you're absolutely right, Mark. When you saw the confidence number come up, you started seeing a breakout. When you started seeing the jolts come out, you came back down a little bit. That mixed data kind of you know took that breakout away. And that if that breakout would have occurred, you probably would have had a little bit of capped out performance on the commodity side of the equation. But the commodity side of the equation really didn't wait. Really didn't wait. You had a breakout in gold here today, looking really good, breaking out of that high base type situation on gold. When you come over to the GDX components, you're looking at a little bit of a deeper pullback here. But when you look at that deeper pullback, given the fact that you had momentum in trend, when you do have momentum in trend and you have a little bit of a choppy, deeper pullback, that's still only a 50% retracement from the low point on the wave all the way up to the top point of the wave. And so this is a really good pullback in my estimation. I would describe it as a Goldilocks retracement. Gold looking fantastic. GDX components starting to kind of worked out that volatility after Newmont Mining's report from last week. And so gold stocks starting to look a little bit better. Gold itself looks absolutely fantastic when it comes to this breakout yet again. Stop me if you heard it before, Mark. Gold's breaking out again.
Gold has provided some textbook charts this year.
It's been the most behaved area of the entire market, and by more than some. When you're looking at silver here, what's your thoughts on silver, Chucky?
I added gold miners this morning. I added a little bit of silver exposure last week, and I added some the week before, right? So little capped out on silver, but one of the things that I joked with you about earlier this week is that's a chart I wouldn't want to be short on. Right? That chart scares me if I was short, right?
No,
this could pick up some steam.
Short against momentum trends, but looks really good on the flag-based pattern that came into the 9 EMA. Saw that slowing momentum in candles, 3 dojis, really wide-ranging dojis, but 3 dojis in a row. That upward movement in price confirms that flag-based pattern, and now you're going into that $35 resistance level with some heat, looking pretty good on the silver side of the equation. When you're looking at copper here, Chuck, you're still seeing a little bit of that exact same thing. But once again, what have we been saying all week long? Wait on that 20 SMA. The 20 SMA is going to play a role. The 20 SMA is going to play a role. The 20 SMA is going to play a role. And the 20 SMA was not close to the actual price. And yet you and I were still saying, wait on the 20 SMA, wait on the 20 SMA. Why were we saying that for the last 3-4 trading sessions in copper? Because when it comes to technical analysis, when it comes to us understanding how moving averages work, there are certain moving averages based on certain positions on the stock chart that are going to play a massive role. And the 20-period moving average is one of them when it comes to a deeper retracement against the backdrop of an upward movement in price. And you want to see that development and you want to see that consolidation to allow that 20 SMA to come down and converge against the breakout channel. And if you don't know what I just said, I invite you to come and join us at Tackle Trading and become a pro member. Get into the upcoming Master Trader course that's going to be in November and start learning how to identify charts, technical analysis, so that you can understand these price movements as well. That 20-period moving average today, you had a lot of liftoff on copper. It drilled that 20-period moving average and came right back down. That's not surprising. Commodities are very important. Understanding moving averages in comparison to what those commodities are doing is very important. And so all it did today is tell us exactly what we already knew, but it confirmed it. We thought it was going to happen. Now we confirm it. You do have that 20-period moving average acting as a legitimate area of resistance now. And now we just wait on that consolidation.
Yeah. And Bitcoin, healthy look, when we were doing the Traders Lounge yesterday, a lot of positive things to say. Couple week consolidation, looking to push a breakout, getting a breakout from that short-term consolidation, clearing a previous resistance zone in the process. And now, Matt, you have all-time high resistance levels. Feels like Bitcoin wants to see what those taste like.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he wants to test these upper ends of the resistance level, and it's still very choppy. I mean, obviously short-term bullish uptrend at this point. Obviously, it has some momentum, especially over the last couple trading sessions. And you certainly do believe that after a breakout out of a multiple time frame situation, that it would go up to the next level of resistance. You come out to the weekly chart, you start to see how it's battling up there at those resistance levels. Mark, these resistance levels you're getting into on the daily chart, they don't have closes above those levels on weekly charts. And so this weekly, if we do see a weekly close above these resistance levels, you gotta think that that could be some degree of catalyst change on the Bitcoin chart as well. Ethereum starting to shore up just a little bit off its retracement, but overall just trying to fight that overall reversal type situation as well.
Yeah, listen, a lot breakdown on the lounge. We're going to go in depth in earnings, going to look for actionable ideas. It's a fantastic way to spend an hour. Come join us. Go to tackletrading.com, sign up for that 15-day free trial.